Hey guys, Thunder E here, and welcome to my hands-on impressions of the LG V30. Now, this is a week's worth of impressions. Yes, 1 week worth of impressions because I got this device early from LG. Now, I will tell you this is not a review. I'm going to repeat it one more time. It is not a review. It's more of an extended first-hand impressions of this device because this is not final hardware or software from LG. And we'll talk about some of the few things in there. So let's go ahead and check it out on the flip side. So the first thing I would say about the V30 is LG is not playing. Yes, LG has brought their A game with the V30. And if my buddy Juan Bagnell was here, he would be totally excited because there's a lot packed into this device. Now, let's start off with the hardware. LG has done a refresh of the hardware of the V30. It is really slick. It's got a much thinner bezel ratio as compared to the LG G6. Both front and back of the device, as you pair it with the G6, it's much more different, and it's got a really stylish, premium look to it. Now, when we look at it compared to the V20, the LG V30 itself also looks more stylish. It's gone away from that ruggedized look that the V20 had, and you can see it's got a smaller footprint here. Now, the V30 has still military grade specs testing there, so it is shock proof to a certain degree. I have put some scuffs in this device just to let you know, but it's still handled well because I actually dropped it a couple of times. That's the one thing I'll mention. It's a bit slippery on the slippery side. Still though, it is and it is a sexy looking device. It's well designed. Let's talk about some of the internal specs. So internally, we've got a device that's powered by a Snapdragon 835 processor. And that means you've also got aptX HD, but we'll talk about audio as we continue with this. We also have 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, or 128, as well as micro SD expansion up to 2 terabytes in there. Now you've got a 3300 milliamp battery, and in terms of the cameras, when we look at the back of the device, we do have 2 cameras. We've got a 16 and a 13 megapixel. This OIS is not dual. One of those lenses does have a glass lens to give you better imaging. There's a lot LG has put into the camera when we get to some of the camera software. We also have a centralized fingerprint sensor at the back. And then in front, we do have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. Now, as you look at the front of the device, it's got an OLED display. It's called Full Vision Display. It's 18:9 aspect ratio. It's a lovely, very vivid display. So when you're looking at different wallpapers like I do, and again, if you want to pick up your wallpapers, follow me on Pinterest, you find them there. They look really vibrant and sharp on this display. It's a 2K display. It's 6 inches. It's got a smaller footprint, as you can see when you compare it to the V20 as well as also the G6. Other things that you find in this device is that LG also is using USB Type-C charging. It's got a single mono speaker at the bottom. It's not a dual speaker setup. You do have wireless charging in here, so they've carried that from the G6 over, which is good, as well as also water resistance. This device is also water resistant, which means that, you can basically put it in a waterfall with other V30s and it would be fine, which is pretty cool on its own. Now, the other thing that of course I love absolutely, because you can see all those headphones behind me, is the fact that the V30 comes with a quad DAC in all regions. Yes. And I'm going to do another video on that so we can talk more about that. But that is an absolutely beautiful thing because it supports, of course, high-res audio, high-definition audio, FLAC files, all that kind of fun stuff. And it's great to see that I can power some really good headphones with the V30. Now that being said, and all the things you see there, using the V30 day-to-day was actually very interesting. LG is running Android 7.1.2 with, of course, their own overlay, which is pretty smooth and, of course, really fast and easy to use. You can have an app tray. You can also switch out to not have an app tray depending on how you use. But the one thing that they did showcase, and you can see clearly with the V30, as opposed to the V20 and the V10, is there's no more second screen because we now have a floating bar, which is actually at the edge of the screen. Now, the floating bar is pretty cool. It's something that you can go ahead and put on either side of your display, either the right or the left. You can go ahead and also select different items to use. So you've got, like, say, your quick contacts. You've also got the ability to control your music. create GIFs, as well as also quick actions here on the floating display. I actually like the floating display. I like that idea. I think it's more functional. I just want it to be more open so I can add more applications in there. I understand they're using presets, but I like to see my own custom applications I can quick launch from there, or something like that. But it's kind of similar to the Edge screen that you've seen on Samsung devices, but again, works out pretty well. So I think that's something that's really cool, and I think a lot of people will take advantage of that. Now, one of the big parts of what LG's done with the V30 line, and they've done in the past, of course, is the camera. This is where its productivity lies. We saw that with the V10, with the V20. We saw the ads with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and with the V30, I don't know if the ad's out yet, but with the V30, that's also another big focus. And one of the things you find out with this camera is it's got some really cool new features. Now, some of the video features you will find in this, one of the really cool new ones is called Cine Video, or I call it Cine Video. It's really just called Cine Video. And Cine Video allows you to do a lot of that, color grading on your video. So think about it as if you were trying to shoot BVS and you wanted to do the same color grading as Zack Snyder. You technically can with your V30, and that's what you have there. It's a really simple thing. You go into the menu, you select that option, and then you go and hit modes, and from there you can select Cine Video, and then you can change your Cine videos by just tapping on that video icon. Then you have different things. You have historical, you have melodrama, you have noir, you have different options, and you can change the strength as well as the vignette in terms of the gradients and things like that. So you can make it much more of a narrower focus on your color grading, or much wider. It's a really good tool. I like the fact that that's there and that's available, and that adds a whole different aspect to your use of video on this device. Another cool option is something called pinch to zoom. I call it pinch zoom, but actually point zoom is what it's called. Allows you to just focus on an area and zoom right into it. It is great for zooming into long shots. So you know the shots you see in movies where the camera is tracking towards an object that's far away, but you're getting closer and getting closer. That's what you can do with this. Now, of course, it's not going to be as great as something as a professional cinema camera, but while you're making your own home videos, you can do that well with this. And with that also, there's also a quick editor here, allows you to edit your videos quickly, attach, and makes do different things. And we'll spend more time with that later, but I wanted to mention that. So another thing you find with this camera that I really like, especially for people who are trying to get the best photo, is something called Graphi. Graphi is LG's way of making the manual camera mode into an auto mode, if you will, or at least a semi-auto mode. So what Graphi is here is LG went out to a bunch of professional photographers and they said, here's the V30, can you take some awesome photos and save those settings for us? So if you wanted to take a picture of fireworks, now of course I didn't have the ability to do that, you can tap the Graphi icon, and then you get the option for fireworks. And then you can go ahead and select the fireworks, and then tap, snap, you're done. Now it sets all the different settings in your manual mode to fit that. That is pretty cool. So I think for the productivity mindset individual, I think you would like that with the LG V30. There's a lot of tools there in terms of video capture that does a really good job. Now the mic also, you've got two mics here that actually do a really good job in capturing a lot of sound. So I've explained all this and I've talked about it because I really used it quite a bit this week. But I'll give you a dedicated camera video on the V30 when I can, so you guys can see all those features in action and see how it works. So probably sometime over this weekend I'll probably do that. But it's a really great tool. I think a lot of people will like that once they get their hands on the LG V30. So now you're wondering, okay, what about day-to-day use on this device? Yeah, I've talked about some of the pro features on here, but how's he using this device with his 3300 milliamp battery, the 835 processor? I would say it's really good. You can do a full day of work on this device. And again, everything's dependent on you use. But again, this is not final hardware, but with this hardware, I was quite impressed with what I got in terms of battery life on the V30. It handled quite well from me waking up in the morning till late hours at night, which is usually past 12 midnight for me. So I think a lot of people will like this with the V30. This is a really good device in terms of what they've actually brought to the table. I think LG is really serious in actually putting itself back on as being somebody that says, hey, we're in the smartphone camera way. So there's a lot to talk about the V30. I have not covered I haven't covered a lot of things yet, but I wanted you guys to just get a good idea of some of the features that I found on the device, that I used, that I liked. It's also got, of course, a plethora of security features. You do have the fingerprint sensor, there's a voice unlock, there's a pattern unlock. You know, there are a couple of different tools that you can use to actually go ahead and, of course, use this device. But I will say though, again, the V30 is really cool in terms of all the things they've brought together. So there you have it, guys. Those are my first week's impressions of the LG V30, or my first week review, if you will. Not a full review, just the first week. If you have any questions or any comments about the features on the V30, let me know. Is there anything you are interested in? What did you like about the V30 that I just mentioned? Is it the Cine video? Is it Graphi? Is it with the new floating display as well? Is it the fact that LG is now using OLED display on this device? Give me your thoughts on that. If you have any questions, guys, don't forget to like and share as well. And when you do, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel. And when you do that, of course, hit the notification icon to get notified with our latest videos. Now, this is Thunder E saying thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.